Thank you everybody for coming. My name is Alexander. I'm the co-founder of Flexsys and founder of Team Hunt. We're talking today about building an app idea to release. This is a non-technical talk, absolutely non-technical, no design or development skills required. So the purpose of this talk is helping entrepreneurs build better apps faster. So we'll be discussing the very early stage of the life of a product. A little background about me: I've co-founded Flexsys with my schoolmates back in 2006. It's almost 10 years now, and Team Hunt last year, it was launched in August, and we have these great customers. And a few words about mobile. Mobile is big, everybody knows it. There are almost 67%, the population of the United States are using smartphones, not only cell phones, feature phones. And a mobile commerce market forecasted for this year is almost $87 billion. All the purchases will be made through mobile phones, up to this amount. With mobile, as never before, a company can reach their clients, basically their pockets, collect data about them and make very personalized offers. Like they could offer umbrellas if they know that it's raining there in the area where a person resides currently. There are great companies that became possible because of the mobile technologies. Snapchat, WhatsApp, and Uber created business models that couldn't exist before. And we are discussing how the topic how to get from idea to an app, basically. If we were in the ideal world, it would happen like this. You would get there with zero money, in zero time, and you would have an ideal quality. Like you think about it and you have it. No resources needed. We are not in the ideal world, so we'll try to get there as much as possible. There are solutions out there on the market that help you build apps. For example, iBuild app is a serious service that helps you, or I would say helps small and medium businesses to reach out to clients, and it's really inexpensive, only $25 per month and up. And a non-technical person would be able to build an app really quickly in one day or a little bit more based on templates. And they have really nice templates, but I would say those templates are catalogs, so it's a niche of businesses that could use this service. Still, it's a breakthrough. It's a great company. Another interesting option, a company announced in the end of last year, 10Rocket. What they do is they are building MVPs, minimum viable products. MVP is a small product with the minimum feature set that can help you as an entrepreneur to get traction with the market with as little investment as possible. You build it fast and you measure the outcome. And they say that, hey, we will build you for $10,000 in 10 business days, which apparently become 2 or 3 weeks, because they need some time to evaluate the idea and to connect you with a developer, a full-stack developer that will be building your app based on Ionic and Ruby on Rails for backend. So they build MVPs. And there are also outsourcing firms around the world, and the budget can be very different, the time frame can be very different, and the quality can be very different. And you can manage all these parameters. So we'll talk how to get to this side of the equation as much as possible. These are the questions that I'll try to answer during the presentation. how to make sure that you get what you ask them to build, I mean developers, how to manage your budget and not to stuck with a lousy, unreleasable build, what part of work can you actually do yourself with little or no design and development skills, where and how to get the right developers and how to communicate with them during various stages of your project. These are the stages of the project. It begins with no idea at all, there on the top. Then you get some idea of what you're building. You go through wireframes, specification, design, building and testing, and marketing starts here. So the idea is the input to wireframes, and the build, the app, is output from testing. And also, definitely, there are some loops and iterations inside this framework. So we will not cover the first and the last stages of development because they are huge. There are brilliant people who talk a lot about that, and each of those fields, it's basically a set of separate discussions. So everything starts with wireframes, and wireframes define features and interaction flows. Wireframes can look like this. I used a whiteboard to draw the first sketch of Team Hunt website. And I wanted to show that probably a user will be getting to this screen here, input some search request, click a button, get to this next screen with potentially a table on it, and then go to a detailed profile of the entity there. Another example of wireframes is this one. So basically wireframes is a set of sample placeholders, boxes of text, buttons, and basic description of how they should work together. If a user clicks this button, they go to this screen. If they swipe here, they get this interaction, etc. This is another example of wireframes, a little bit more elaborate and complicated. It's a website for restaurant business. When a user, and it says that a user starts with this screen, number 10, if you can see it, left upper corner. If he or she clicks California, they get to this other screen, etc. So these arrows define the user flow inside the app. So it's good to have this built before you start actually coding and investing in your app further. And there are tools that allow you to create those wireframes almost without design skills. It's balsamiq. A tool appeared, as I remember, back in 2003. Now they are part of Adobe. They are based on Adobe technology, Adobe Flex and Flash. And there is Proto.io, a tool which I love very much. Proto.io allows you to create wireframes which are interactive. And let me show you an example of how it can work. Here we go. So this is a prototype of an app that I was thinking to build 2 years ago. There was a big hype around iBeacon technology, and I was thinking, hey, a user can be collecting virtual resources while in Costco or other huge supermarkets, and then trade those virtual resources to real goods that would cost him or her some money. So imagine me as a user, I have this app, I approach a specific spot inside Costco. There is that beacon. It triggers my app, and I get this screen. I can collect a virtual resource now. Here, I'm lucky. So I can pick one of these 16 circles, and there are different resources under each circle. I click one of it, and I get a star. But I don't like stars. I want to get something else. So I want to choose something else. I click this one, and I love apples. So I'm cool with that. These are the resources that I have. I can go and see what I can wish for. I mean, exchanging resources to something real. And there is an iPhone 6 Plus. That was a cool thing back then. Or there is a grill, and I have enough resources for the grill, so I can wish for it. And that's it. So this is an example of a set of wireframes that I can tap, scroll, and navigate through the app. And I didn't have to code at all to build this. And I can build this in an hour or 2 hours maybe. And the great thing about it is I can make it run on my iPhone 6 Plus seamlessly. I update the wireframes in the web app of Proto.io, and it's synchronized right away to my smartphone. Now with my smartphone, I can go around and show it to potential users of the app and collect their feedback. So before I invest $1 in coding, I'll be able to get a feeling if it will actually work, if people understand where to click and how to interact with the thing. And it's very precious to have that possibility. So if you're outsourcing wireframes, which somebody calls user experience design, if you have a UX designer that you want to choose to do this work for you, make sure that the guy or the lady understands values of your app and can explain them back to you in a good, if they speak English well, which is very important because you need to have communication and they need to contribute their ideas to you. You need to agree to iterate 3 to 5 times because you'll want to move stuff around and exchange screens. And use Proto.io, a collaboration tool that allows you commenting inside wireframes and have those interactive wireframes on your target device. Having the prototype on the target device is very important. It's critical because you will be able to get a much better feeling of what you'll get when you invest thousands of dollars in building it. The next stage is functional specification, and it's about architecture and functionality of the app. It can be, in a most simple way, it can be viewed as the wireframes with some descriptions around it. Something like this. A user taps this button and gets to this screen, or this thing happens, or this interaction begins, etc. This screen is from HeadTip, a startup in Palo Alto in Mountain View. They allow people to rate baristas and waiters in bars. So those service workers collect karma points for their reputation, and occasionally will help them find better jobs. So the checklist is here. You will want to make sure that the functional specification describes your product vision, a high-level description of what you're building, including the interaction flow and animations. And it is very important to describe the marginal use cases. When a user logs in and he or she has no friends yet, or if there are no thanks given to the barista, or something else, if the list is empty, or if the server is down, or the user didn't log in. This is very important because the developers otherwise will have to invent that themselves, and if you do not think about it beforehand, it may cost you more money. And make sure that the functional specification describes the requirements for backend availability. If you expect that within the first 6 years you'll get to 1 million daily active users, you need to describe it here up front, because otherwise they'll have to rebuild the backend. They thought it will be only 1,000 or something like that. Now the graphic design defines look and feel of your app, and it helps you to get from wireframes to something more beautiful. And you can talk about pixel perfect things here. You can you can make your future app look nice before you invest in implementing the app. And Sketch is a tool which is very popular among designers. Basically, it's a competitor to Photoshop. It doesn't do everything Photoshop does, but it does everything you need to build, or designer needs to build beautiful UIs. Let me show you a quick video that they have on their website. It's a 1-minute video that can help you get a basic understanding of, if you know Photoshop, what's the difference between Photoshop and Sketch. So it's object-based, and you can work with objects in different ways. Objects have parameters, and you can be very precise with your future UI based on those parameters. And the great thing is you can actually see your future UI on the target device before you build it. It's synchronized automatically, and you can click through the screens one after the other on your iPhone or Android. Okay. So once again, this is a tool that helps you spend less on getting from idea to your business. And another app which is also great and does a great job is InVision. It's also top-notch, a very popular app among designers. What it does, it takes your graphic designs that you get from your designer, and it makes it interactive. Basically, you can get that picture, that image that you've got from the designer, and indicate in the web UI, in the web app of InVision, that this is a button. If a user clicks this button, he or she gets to this other screen. This is the header, this is the footer, and the content between it is a scrollable area. So let me show you this other prototype. This one was for Hat Tip. They had an Android iPhone app and needed to get it to work on Android. So basically, this is a set of images that, thanks to InVision, are now clickable. So if you click somewhere else, it would say, hey, you can click only here, showing the interactive areas. You click claim and move on through the scenario and click other buttons here, and you can scroll. And this works also on your iPhone or Android device. So with InVision, you can make any set of images look like a real app. It will be very interactive, not that interactive as a true app, but it will look like this. So you'll be able to collect even more feedback before you invest in development. Once again, we are getting to the correct side of that equation. Higher quality, less investment. Now, these tools work beautifully together, synchronized automatically one into the other. And probably if you hire a designer, you will be getting a link to the prototype, not the raw screens, a link to an InVision prototype that you'll be able to view on your Android phone. A set of tools for do-it-yourself, DIY. If you want to try to hack the UI together yourself, take a look at the Noun project, which is a huge collection of icons that can help you get icon for almost any word. Like I went with Apple here, or this one was for toy. You can play around and be creative. If you have abundance, for example, the Noun project will come with icons for abundance. Now, you can guess what was here as the word. Coffee. Growth Supply is a huge catalog of free tools, or almost free tools, that can help you build your business. And they have also a section that is dedicated to design. So let me show it to you here. Design and Code. They have free design resources, color pickers, something to inspire you. Probably it's geared mostly toward designers. Free stock photography and like tons of stuff. Probably you can make a good use of it. And now this third resource is Logaster. It helps you get a decent logo for your future company at the early stage for $30. So it's 10 times cheaper than a designer would charge you. They have a set of templates. You can play around with it, input the name of your company, and create a logo in several minutes. So it's a good way to spend less and get launched faster. Now, if you will want to outsource the design, take a look at this website. It's different because it connects you with designers, making several designers bid for your project and apply with their proposals with drafts or designs for your logo or your mobile UI. And you will pay only once. So you get dozens of designs, and you pay as if it was only one designer, and you pick the best one. So it's a great value for entrepreneurs. There are also other resources that work in other business models. I can handle the deck later. Send me an email. The checklist, if you are outsourcing the design, make sure that you like the graphic style of your designer, because 98% probability that they will build for you something very similar to what they've built before. Now, make sure that they understand the values and the market that you target and can explain it back to you. And be sure to provide visual references to the designer, which means give him or her a set of links to websites or mobile apps that you like. So the designer will be able to fuse together those apps and based on his or her background, create something that you will like as well. Make sure to iterate at least 5 times, moving around UI elements, changing fonts and colors. and use a collaboration tool that allows commenting inside images and viewing the graphic design in as an interactive prototype on your target device, which is InVision. Now the implementation, well, it's about coding the app as it was designed and defined by you through the wireframes, functional specification, and graphic design. If you have got here, passing all these initial stages, for developers it will be very difficult to fail and build you something that you didn't want to have, because they'll see how it should work. They'll be able to click through the product and make, well, a thing that will actually work like it was defined. There are resources that will help you learn to code. Udemy, Coursera, iTunes University. But I would not recommend you to actually get into coding if you're not a developer yourself and you're not planning to change your career, because you'll spend months to be able to create a simple app, and you will not be able to iterate quickly with your market and your business, and you'll have to spend a lot of time coding it, while a good experienced developer probably will be able to build it in a week. So you'll spend much less if you outsource it to a professional. And these are the resources that help you outsource it to a professional. TopTal, launched in 2010, is a network of freelancers which are vetted by TopTal, and they are guaranteed to do a great job for you. If you are not happy with them, you can part your ways after the first 2 weeks and pay nothing. So if you're happy with the developer or designer, they have developers and designers, you can move on and continue working. So they are taking away the problem of getting a good developer or designer. You pay only if you are happy. Geekster is a new app, a new platform. They've launched probably half a year ago. Y Combinator startup. And what they do, they promise to give you a quote instantaneously. You text to them, and they say, hey, your project will be $20,000. And they stick to this quote, and they promise that they will actually build it for that amount of money. Now, I've tried to do that, but they stopped replying. Maybe that was an early stage. Maybe they're better now. But this is a very interesting concept. Upwork is a former Odesk and Elance, and this is a great place to find a great freelancer, but it's a little bit risky because there are different freelancers, and even if the rates or ratings of freelancers are good, you can run into a problem occasionally. So what Elance people have recommended me as a solution to that is trying to handle the small part of your project to like 3 different freelancers and see how it goes, and go with the best one with the rest of the project. And actually, like 67% of freelance projects, in my experience and in experience of my friends, fail. So you can get a very good price there, but you have to be careful about it. There is a story, the last story with my story with Elance. I had work to do, and I've posted a project there. I said I'm ready to pay $500 for that. And I started to get bids from freelancers. Someone went with 200, someone with 380, someone with 500, because that was my top. And there was a lady from Asia, and she said, I will deliver it for $84. I went like, wow, I'm buying that. And occasionally, in a week, she started messaging me, hey, you know, I need $100 more because I need to pay my bill for the internet. And, well, I was lucky. I've implemented the recommended practice, so I've lost only $5 with her. But it's a great place anyway. So these are the screenshots of those websites. TopTal, a very good landing page. Geekster, a minimalistic one, just to give you a feeling of how it looks. And Upwork, well, Upwork is can be very different. They have accountants and virtual assistants and writers and all kinds of developers. There is an interesting topic. When you are reaching out to a developer or to a team and asking them to estimate your project, many people are worried. How should they deal with those estimates? Because the estimates can be very different. So I've put together a very simple framework how to deal with estimates. I recommend you to collect estimates from 5 teams and select 3 of them that seem the most reasonable to you. If no, cheapest is a risk, because probably a team doesn't have an exact feeling of what needs to be done. Both the cheapest and the very high estimates are risky, because if it's too cheap, you risk to run in a situation like with that lady with $84. They will not be able to deliver, and your project will last forever, because they do not want to get a negative karma point in their history, but they cannot actually build it for you, and they will not deliver forever. Now, if it's too expensive, the estimate, probably the team doesn't understand what you actually need to have built. Maybe they plan to build a video chat functionality themselves, and you can take it off shelf, use Twilio or something else. So select the 3 which would be somewhere in the middle, and go talk to those teams, do your due diligence, and get a team with the relevant experience and with a good reputation. So after you have selected the team, you will get their estimate. They would say, hey, we will deliver your app in 2 months or 4 months. So my advice is do not plan your marketing campaigns right after the planned delivery date, because the teams will deliver on budget, but something might go wrong, and they occasionally might need a month more to polish the app, or you will want to make it a little bit differently, because you were getting more and more feedback from market, from your potential users, and now you understand that you will need an additional screen there, or you need to change the workflow. So plan your marketing timelines accordingly. These are the tools that are typically used or can be used for communicating with developers or are used by the developers, and they can suggest you to use these tools, like as well as Asana and Jira, is about project management, as well as Trello. Trello does that in a slightly different way. It's a set of boards that you can name yourself, like planned, building, done, testing, and accepted, something like that. And you will move issues from one board to the other ones to keep the team synchronized, all the guys that are involved in your project. Bitbucket is a storage for your source code with versioning and other great stuff, and also an issue tracker where you or your users will be able to file bugs about your product, and the engineers will see them and will fix them, the bugs. Toggle is a time tracker. Google Drive is, well, you know it, it's online documents. Slack is a chat app, and Hangouts is a video communications app by Google. And a checklist for outsourcing the implementation. Make sure that the engineers are relevant, they have done similar projects and the estimates are reasonable. Make sure that team's focal person is professional and responsive, that he or she can communicate with you, be in a dialogue and bring value, and you feel comfortable with them. Get a contract in place that would protect your IP and define milestones with deliverables and potential payments here. Make sure to agree on communication tools and regular synchronizations, meetings. Put down all the decisions that you make together with the team as you go, and probably the focal person, the project manager of that team, has to do that instead of you, but make sure that it's done, because you'll be changing the specs and the vision, and you need all the team to be synchronized with you, having those decisions fixed. Be hands-on, test your future app, but in the same time trust your team in the areas where they should be professionals. If they propose to build backend for you using Spark and Scala, let them build it using Spark. If it's Node.js, you are okay with that. They have the functional specification. Now, testing is making sure that your product delivers the value that you've planned for it. And there are testing tools, Beta by Crashlytics and TestFlight, which allows you to deliver the very early stage build to the smartphones of your potential users. And the developers probably will be using these tools to deliver the very early builds to you, so that you could put your hands on it. And user testing is a separate service, is a different service, which allows you to get real independent people to use your app. And you'll get a video or set of videos of real people using your app. And normally those videos are full of surprises. You didn't expect that they would bump into this screen and wouldn't know what to do. It's a paid service, and as far as I understand, a video would cost $50 or more, something like that. So for testing, use an issue tracker. Bitbucket would have it. Do final acceptance testing yourself to make sure that you invite your users to a version that doesn't have obvious bugs. You will not be able to kill them all, but it should be decent. Do load testing if you plan high load on your app, and ask your team to simulate the load, and make sure that you've seen live people, real people using your app, because it's very important for your future stage, which is promotion. Because in this stage you'll be caring about conversions and payments and etc. And if you didn't see how how other people use your app, probably your conversions here would not be as high as you thought they would be. So we have discussed some tools. Finding the right tools can cost you some time and money. So hopefully those tools would be of value to you. And there is also another variable in the equation is the team. So there are those resources that are dedicated to find contractors for you, the team. But there are thousands of outsourcing firms in the world, and finding the right one is a challenge. And probably, if there are 1,000 in the world, there are probably a dozen of it that have been working previously on same features in same domain, in same technologies, same platforms. So for the team, for finding the team, we have built Team Hunt. It's a website that helps you find the right team among those other teams in the world. And we have teams from Ukraine, Israel, India, Russia, Poland. And on Team Hunt, you get to see their profiles, what they are good at, what have they done before, descriptions of their projects, team breakdown, where they are. So we are building Team Hunt to create an ultimate tool to find the right mobile development team for someone who is building a mobile app, connecting with those with different teams in the world. A little feedback, if you can, please. On the scale from 1 to 10, 1 considering ideas and 10 can wait to start building. Where are you? Please raise your hand if you are 5 and above. Okay, great. I see. So for those who have raised your hand, if you are not familiar with the concept of minimum viable product, please get to know it better. Once again, it's a core product with core features only. You spend a little money to build it, and you're able to test your idea and to collect feedback from the market, get early adopters, early users for your app, and you are getting the highest return on investment versus risk. So with my team, we implement this framework for building MVPs. Probably you will want to do something similar. First, we start with finalizing the vision of the product, researching competition and prioritizing features, and we end up with building an interactive prototype using Proto.io. So at the end of this first day, it normally takes 1 day or less, the entrepreneur is able to start collecting feedback from potential users, which is normally friends and family, but they go around to Caltrain stations and to Starbucks coffee shops and everywhere, showing the prototype, and they are able to make improvements to prototype themselves using the very simple UI of Proto.io web app. So with these two first steps, the entrepreneur can spend much less money to get the vision, the prototype, the wireframes of the app in place and verified with the market. And then it's easy to build the MVP based on those wireframes. So I'm doing 40-minute review and advice sessions with entrepreneurs. And in the slide deck, you'll have the last slide with all the links that were mentioned during the presentation. So thank you very much, and I'm ready for the questions.
Can you go back one slide?
Mm-hmm.
Will you post these slides somewhere?
Well, can you send me an email and I will send you the slides then.
Actually, we're going to post video and slides.
Okay.
Who are your competitors? Team Hunt is your company, right?
Yeah.
Who are your competitors? Who are also collecting that information?
There's several websites that are doing similar thing. Maybe I have collected probably 17 so far. Yeah. Well, I can I can show you the information later.
Okay.
But TopTal and Upwork are also in the same space, so I consider them competitors as well.
How do you differentiate?
We list only teams. Our teams are great, and we do that special matching based on the project, and it's automated.
Okay, and your monetization is by getting a job from the people who comes with ideas.
Well, Team Hunt is a lead generation company for the team, so we are getting a percentage of the new business that we're getting to the teams.
Let's say if the company posts through you and you do the matching,
Yeah.
then you keep the percentage.
Yeah. And it's free for clients.
Okay. That's good.
Alexander, please describe the process of uploading the new application in App Store and which difficulties we can face during this process.
Well, it's quite straightforward. And the main difficulty there probably is being rejected by Apple. So the review, I guess, yeah. There are experienced people here. So,
then cross your fingers.
I would recommend to read all the guidelines by Apple and make sure that you do not break any of them, but nobody does that, so it's normally try and fail, and every attempt takes you a week or a week and a half. So be careful, do not violate copyrights, do not use like swipe gestures that show some iOS functionality in a promo video of your app or within your app. Basic things. Well, the critical thing about App Store is the thing that's called App Store optimization, where you pick the right keywords, the right name for your app, the right description to, well, encourage people to download your app and to make it discoverable for them when they search for something. And there is a research that shows that the icon is of critical importance as well for the conversions, views to installs, the icon of the app. So I would recommend to give more attention to that marketing part more than the technical uploading.
What features of the icon makes it?
I will reply.
On IP protection, especially if you hire international teams.
That's a good question. So about IP protection and international teams. Normally you will want to get a contract that describes that all the IP stays with you as a client after the team delivers the product, and you own all the source codes, etc. A good thing, though, to be secure, to feel secure about it, is to be contracting with a U.S. entity, because on the border, probably it will be difficult to enforce that protection. So a good solution, if you want to be very covered, is to deal with a team, even if it's remote, that has a local entity.
Right, so your Team Hunt does provide that. Right.
Can provide that. And many teams have local entity here in the US. There is that search criteria, sorry. in the search engine. What icons are more discoverable? Oh, I don't know. Maybe there
It's
is.
important in the icon to make it discoverable and to the people who download them.
It should be trendy and it should be sexy.
Okay, fair enough.
So it should give that visual impression with a message like, this is the thing I need, I want that.
More money for design.
Sorry?
More money for design.
Yes. Yes, it's the designer is important. Well, yep. There is a team on Team Hunt which is really good at designing stuff. RunMotion, they've been featured by Apple in one of the presentations. So if you need great design and you want to make that appealing impression with your one icon, there are guys that can do that. Oh. Okay.
What cadence would you recommend for synchronizing with a remote team? Is it weekly, daily?
Oh, it depends. It depends. It depends. You can be very hands-on if your project is complicated and you are not very sure that you will get there. You can do it daily. Normally, if a team is relevant, if they've built similar things before, you can do it weekly, and they'll be on track during the week. So, daily or weekly, I would say. No questions. Thank you so much. Appreciate your coming. Hope it was valuable.
Friends, we have more wine and more pizza and more time to gather and talk and exchange business cards.
Александр, спасибо, очень интересно.